Welcome to the Business of Apps podcast. What happens when AI meets lifecycle marketing? In this special episode, we're bringing you a panel discussion from App Promotion Summit New York 2025, featuring leaders from Whoop, theCut, and Grohaus. They unpacked how AI is transforming app engagement, from personalization at scale to the rise of 100,000 message permutations. You will hear where AI makes a real impact, where it still stumbles, and what it takes to maintain brain voice when your intern is ChatGPT. Tune in for tactical insights, candid lessons, and fresh perspectives from the front line of app growth in the age of AI. All right, without any further ado, let's go.
My name is David Brown. I'm the founder of Grohaus. I'm thrilled to be here. Welcome to the App Engagement in the Age of AI panel. I'm thrilled to be able to present along with some great folks. And one thing about the App Promotion Summit that I appreciate every year, it brings some of the sharpest minds in app growth and lifecycle and product and development. And so I'm sure we're going to have a great session here today, and I hope you walk away with some great insights. Okay, cool. So to kick us off, I'd love for each panelist to share 3 things about themselves, your company, obviously your name, your company, your role, and a core user problem that your business solves. And I'll go first. My name is David. I'm the founder of Grohaus. Problem we solve is a lot of companies invest a lot of monies into messaging tools, or they invest a lot of internal resources in building it themselves, but they often don't truly utilize it to its full capacity to drive app engagement and retention. And so that's where we come in and we support them with strategy and hands-on support to get the most out of those tools. All right, Sam?
Sure. Hi, I'm Sam Smith. I work at Whoop, and Whoop is a fitness and health app and wearable. So the problem that we're solving for people is kind of decoding your personal metrics and insights and helping you understand how you can improve.
Awesome.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon. My name is Darian. I'm head of growth at theCut. We're actually a 3-sided marketplace, and we solve a couple of problems. One of those problems that we solve is for people that are looking for a nice fresh cut. We make sure that you have a marketplace to be able to find the barber that's kind of near you and kind of fits your needs. And on the flip side of that, for barbers that are looking for a management tool, we make it really easy for them to kind of manage and scale their business.
Awesome. Fresh cut, by the way.
Thank you.
Cool. So let's kick it off with an icebreaker to loosen things up. I'd like to bring up the age-old debate. Is lifecycle more marketing or more product? Pick a side and tell us.
So before working at Whoop, I would say it was totally marketing for me.
Okay.
But I think working at an app-based company, lifecycle is absolutely a part of product. And we work really closely with our product and growth teams on the end-to-end user experience. And it's really an extension of the app experience when you think about it. So I think we're more product on the Whoop side.
Okay, we got one for product.
I'm just going to go on the opposite side.
Okay.
It's more marketing just because, right? No, I honestly think it's marketing because marketing, as we all know, is somewhat psychology, and a part of life cycle is understanding your users at a really intimate level. And the way that you do that, the way that we do that or try to do that is by creating materials and creating resources for our users that make them feel seen and understood. Mm-hmm. So yeah, for me, it's really about the marketing. Not to say that the product isn't great, but yeah, the marketing for sure.
Well, I mean, there's definitely a debate here. So, but I do want to get the crowd involved just by share of hands. If you believe it's more marketing, raise your hand. Okay. More product? All right. I think it's leaning a little bit product.
It's product with that marketer's touch.
With a marketer's touch.
You know?
We're at an app conference.
That does make sense. That does make sense. Cool. So start off with the first question of the day. So I've seen a lot of companies use artificial intelligence before the tools like ChatGPT became household names in 2022. Some experimented with recommendation engines. Others have experimented with propensity scoring, propensity model, predictive scoring. Have you tried or have you used AI before 2022 in your growth toolkit? And if you have, how are you using it then versus today? Let's start with Darian.
before 2022. No, not at all, to be honest with you. I think 2022 was honestly, and probably for a lot of us here, the launch pad for using AI. And even at that point, we were using the now household name ChatGPT for ideation, copywriting, strategy, like very, very like simple prompting. Because I think like over time, today we understand how to do input and like write prompts that are going to give you the output that you're looking for. But back then it was very much so like we're just kind of figuring this out. So yeah, that's kind of where it started for us.
Okay.
I think on the lifecycle side, you touched on a few things that we've definitely were using beforehand. So propensity modeling, send time optimization, things like that that were tools, but have definitely scaled and improved over time. So it's definitely not what it is today. And I think also like generative AI has just catapulted our testing and scaled the creative that we're using. So we're like a long way away from what we were doing before with just regular send time optimization.
Yeah, cool. Let's say one of the biggest shifts I noticed in lifecycle is that generative AI is no longer just a tool for writing copy. It's now shaping how products themselves are changing the user experience to drive engagement and retention. Sam, outside of copy inspo, how has the rise of generative AI changed the way you solve user engagement at Whoop?
I'm going to cop out and lean on more whatever my product team is doing because they're really doing amazing work with generative AI in the Whoop experience. So I think the app itself is really grounded in AI and helping members understand their personal data. So every time you interact with the app, you are engaging with generative AI that has taken a look at your metrics and is offering you coaching or insights using your actual data. So it's just come so far, even in the 2.5 years I've been there, to see how the product team is using AI to get members to engage with our app. And it's definitely paying off. People are curious and constantly going in there to dig into their insights and see what the app is offering to them. I think I'll stop there.
Okay, follow up on that. So are they using LLMs? Are they using agents? Like, what type of generative AI are they using for that real-time feedback back to the user?
Yeah, we do have our own LLM that is completely built out and bespoke to the data that we take in on members and then make sure that we can serve it back to them.
Awesome.
We have a lot to learn from Whoop, it sounds like. That's amazing. Same question?
Yeah, same question.
Yeah, so actually, could you repeat the question? I don't think I
Okay, cool. So outside of copy inspo, like using it to generate copy, how has the rise of generative AI changed the way that you solve user engagement at theCut?
So for us, although we're not necessarily using it for, copy creation or copywriting, we are doing a lot of input of said copy. And so for us, I think, a conversation that you and I had off stage is, for my team, as we think about our go-to-market strategy, whether it's for a new feature or for an incentive or for education, we start to input a lot of our kind of content pieces into our generative AI tool, which is AMP for those that aren't familiar. And from there, we're able to create many permutations of messaging that, had we not been using a tool like that, would take us, I think it's funny to say, like months to do, literally. So like today, I can put in, or I can have a member of my team put in variety of different like labels and titles and different, pieces of content. And then based off of our input, like I said, we'll create permutations. And I always have us, approach it from a perspective of how do we get to 100,000 permutations? And the reason that I set that as a baseline is not necessarily because it's a sexy number, but more so so that it really can give us that air cover and that opportunity to let the agents learn. Because one thing that I really enjoy is that the tool that we use is learning at the user level. It's not like learning at the segment level, right? And I think historically, from a marketing standpoint, when we're A/B testing, it's like from a cohort perspective. So for us, it's really been a superpower to be able to kind of lean into that.
Yeah, that's been a big part of the superpower, right? Is user level optimization. For sure. Versus without it, we used to have to spend hours thinking about which segments, how do we approach them, how are they migrating between each other. So awesome, it's good to hear. Cool. So something I hear from my clients all the time is, should we buy an AI tool or should we build it ourselves and own that data? I personally don't think there's an easy answer to this. There's a lot of resource trade-offs to consider with big implications. Start with Sam. Where's Whoop landing? Are y'all buying, building, or a mix of both?
I think it is a mix of both.
Okay.
Definitely hybrid. On the product side, I think they are building a lot in-house.
Okay.
And on the marketing side, we've been investing in tools that help us. And I think what will be interesting for us this year is how we bridge that gap and how do we get these two different tools to talk to each other and make sure that we're like learning off of the same models and we're talking to members the same way in app and outside of the app.
Yeah. Okay. For the buying side, are there any lessons you can share with the audience as a buyer of AI products and anything that you've learned along the way?
I feel like it's similar to any other tool you're investing in. We're looking at like the right ROI payoff and we're testing it against the tools that we're already using to make sure that it is more effective than our regular engagement journeys and things like that.
Gotcha.
I think it so far has paid off for us just by the sheer volume of experiments we've been allowed to run. But still always measuring to make sure that it meets that ROI.
Nice. Okay. Darren?
We're definitely on the buy side.
Okay.
For sure. And that's not to say that we don't have the desire to go the build route, but we're in a very interesting industry that is historically or has historically been resistant to change. Barbershops prior to like 2015, 2016 were very anti-technology, right? And so as we think about ways for us to incorporate an AI tool, whether it's at the like in the app or kind of in their face, like barbers tell us every day, like they still want the people aspect of it. They're in the people business themselves, right? So we're very methodical and careful to think about the right things to build because we know that adoption could potentially be slow, number one, and then two, it has to be the right thing. So it's something we're thinking about, but for now, we're on the buy side.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I'm hearing if you're going to build internally, you have to build for your users. You're going to prioritize that first. So if you can buy it and get the benefits of just it already built, like that's what you can do. Okay.
Somewhat a proof of concept, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice. All right. So I'm hearing more and more marketing and product teams focus on AI governance. It's not enough to just simply launch AI features now. You have to put guardrails in place to protect your brand, your voice, and prevent unintended customer experiences. Darian, how important is evaluation and guardrails in the way that you're using AI to improve engagement at theCut? And what does that process look like?
Yeah. So I already mentioned that for my team specifically, like I set a baseline, like how do we get to 100,000 permutations? Yeah. And again, while that number sounds great, it's also a scary number because there's now 100,000 different ways that your brand is out there and you might not necessarily have the intimate knowledge of what that looks and sounds like. And so before we actually like launch a new message or a new campaign, there's a few rounds of QC there, right? Because we want to protect like the brand tone and voice. We're a very candid, some would say casual brand, and we want to keep that level of personality in our AI messaging. So while AI can help us move faster, scale, all those great things, we want to make sure that we still take the time to make sure that the input is giving us the right output so that our user experience doesn't get compromised and that we don't have like a negative association with who or what we're saying. Because to the world, they don't know it's AI. At least we don't want them to know it's AI. Yeah. It's just the cut. So we want to, preserve that personality that we have.
Yeah. $100,000 100,000 permutations.
100,000.
A lot.
That's the floor. Yeah, that's the floor. I like to see the 250s, but yeah.
Okay,
floor,
250K.
Yeah,
okay.
That's a goal.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. How many people you have kind of doing this QA and like is it time intensive? Do you have to think of trade-offs for like launching quickly versus making sure that everything looks great?
Honestly, man, we're so lucky. Okay. And I say that because I mentioned AMP earlier. That tool is super simple. And I say that because the way that it's organized, it's organized in a way where if you or I or Sam were to sit down for 10, 15 minutes, you can easily QC that. Okay. You don't need a lot of time. Now, my team would say I'm OCD. I'm looking at my guy Eddie here. I'm very OCD about the things that kind of go out the door. So generally for those things, I would like 2 rounds of QC just as a second set of eyes. Yeah. But it's not super time intensive at all. No.
Okay. Yeah, 15 minutes.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
I think on our side, we kind of have two different processes, but both of them require really careful prompting. And I think that's what you're getting at. It's like the most important part of protecting yourself. We also use AI to generate tons of copy permutations for us. And I think that's more owned by marketing. We are able to kind of give that like marketer's look to make sure everything's reflective of our brand tone, making sure that nothing is like off or going to be scary or yelling at someone for not reaching their sleep goal, for example. And that it is more of a manual process, like you said, but we do spend the time to comb through everything, share it with our brand creative team to make sure everything matches our tone of voice, that everything going out the door is what we would expect. However, I think the other approach in Whoop, we want to move quickly. And I think there is this willingness to trade off serving fully AI push notifications if we're serving a personal data point or insight. And the trade-off might be that like the tone is just slightly off. And I know that's something we're refining with very, very careful prompting to make sure that nothing ever goes out the door that is unexpected. But the results that we see by personalizing with those user level metrics from AI are totally worth the slight risk for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in that process, do you retrain these models to like look out for those things the next time they give you outputs? Okay.
Yeah, I would say there's an entire piece of the business dedicated to this right now. And they are constantly refining the prompts and taking into consideration every different type of user we have, every different type of user experience that we have. We have a very thorough QA team who goes through and thinks through, okay, if someone's this age or if someone's metrics look like this, what is the experience that they're going to see when they receive this prompt? So they're as thorough as they possibly can be to just mitigate all risk.
Yeah, totally. All right, so most people in this room probably heard of ChatGPT, right? And Claude. But a real interesting shift is how specialized tools are being built, like AMP, to be built into workflows for lifecycle marketing. So let's start with Darren. What's one AI tool that you're excited about, and how are you using to drive engagement? You already started talking about AMP. So
I might as well just stay.
Yeah,
just talk about AMP. No, I mean, like I said earlier, we're really fortunate with the simplicity of the tool, to be honest with you. Candidly, lifecycle marketing has been a really huge focus for my team this year. Historically, we're a lean team, but historically we have been very much so, let's build a campaign and talk to everybody the same. And it's gotten us to where we are today, and we're very happy with that. But in order for us to get to where we want to go, we need to get to a level of personalization that our users expect. And so as we think about the next iteration of our usage of the AMP tool, it's starting to align the personas that we've identified as our primary users, and kind of speaking to them at a level that they expect and giving them the resources that they need to be successful. Because everyone in here wants to acquire more users, and just as equally, we all want to keep those users. So we need to talk to them in a way that's going to keep them loyal to the product and kind of create that sticky relationship that we're all striving for. So, Sam?
Yeah, I agree. There's definitely an expectation from our members. On the marketing side, it's like I said, the in-app and product experience is so personalized, so we have to keep up and make sure that we're also delivering the same experience. So one tool that we have been using this year is High Touch's decision engine. And the tool basically allows us to rapidly test like hundreds of creative iterations that we've generated, but helps us send the right message to the right user at the right time. The classic phrase, but it's yielded really great engagement results for us. So it's definitely paid off. And what's really nice about it is that it takes it from just sending and experimenting to it's just consistently learning, and now continues to send those messages to people as they come into the business. So it continues to pay off for us.
Can you talk a little bit about the methodology that they're using for that kind of like consistent learning, if you're familiar with it?
Yeah, we have used it for a few different use cases on the revenue side, but on my side, we are targeting members who haven't used specific features within the app. So you can set up like a base audience in the model and then set additional parameters down for every single message. And from there, you can tag all of your creative with different types of messaging, tone, what the content looks like, and it will automatically send all these different user cohorts. And it's actually given us really great insights back on, okay, this type of tone and creative is most motivating for X types of users. And then we're able to like continue to iterate from there. I don't know if that answered your question.
I think it does. And then when it gives you that feedback, do you have to click continue or does it just do it?
No, it's continually just optimizing right now for us. Yep.
That's great. Cool. So I love to do like a love-hate segment here. I love hearing real stories. So give me one thing or one experience that was like a magical moment for you when it came to like you using AI for growth and for app engagement. And then maybe one experience where you were like, you had to rethink it. Maybe I need to be doing this differently. We'll start with Sam.
Okay, I think mine come from the same campaign that I just ran very recently. So Whoop has a coach embedded in it. It's all AI run. And I think it's really changed the way that we do marketing because now I'm very focused on making sure people get into the app and engage with this coach because the coach is going to give you those personalized insights so much better than I can do right now personalizing my content. So for a recent campaign, I thought it was very delightful that we did this weekly series of notification center cards or kind of like a content card in the home screen of our app to educate members on a new feature that we have called Health Span. It helps members understand how they're going to age how their longevity is going to look over time. So it gives you like a scored Whoop age. And there's a lot of inputs that go into that feature. So it's a really complex thing to kind of explain in an email, for example. So instead we used these notification center cards to kind of give nuggets of education to members week over week and kind of help them understand what goes into HealthSpan, but individually. So not just like what goes into this feature for everyone, which is what we would have done in the past, but what does it actually look like for your user data and like which contributors should you be paying attention to? Are you getting your steps in or is it your sleep consistency? So that was really effective in driving feature engagement for us. And we increased HealthSpan engagement by 16%. I just think it was a really like delightful experience, the way that we should be doing things. However, I did learn back on the topic of prompting correctly. And so here's the hate part of that campaign. Some people are just too healthy. And maybe we didn't QA for those people carefully enough. So they were kind of, I'd say, less impressed with the prompt because there wasn't much more for them to find out because they were already so healthy. So it was just a great learning to make sure we're involving every single AI team and QA partner to make sure we're thinking about all of these different user types and making sure it's a great experience for everyone.
Okay, I thought you were going to say they got offended. Maybe they were like, oh, I am too, what are you telling me? I'm not doing enough?
Too healthy.
Yeah, too healthy. Okay.
Yeah. Love, hate, right?
Yeah, love, hate, yep.
I think on the love side of the column, obviously speed and execution is like the give me answer. But for us, it's the reactivation piece. Obviously, no one wants to hear the leaky bucket problem that I'm sure we've all kind of come across in our careers. But as we think about the number of barbers for us that we retain every month out of their free trial, it's a decent amount. Like it's not what we want it to be, but it's a decent amount. But on the flip side of that, this equal number of barbers that were churning from our pro subscription every month was like continuing to climb. And it got to the point where, number one, we were trying to figure out why. And then two, we're like, what do we need to say to them that's not come back for free? You know what I mean? Because like you don't want to deteriorate the value of your product just by giving it away for free. I mean, there's a time and a place for that. But as we started to implement our tool, again, AMP, for the purpose of like push notifications and learning at the user level and again at the segment level, we started to realize that we just needed to give them more information. Sam mentioned like educating them. We're not quite there. Like we're not quite at the stage that Whoop is when it comes to like the personal insights and using their data to kind of give them recommendations. I'm going to take that, by the way. But we did start to see a level of reactivation that convinced us that, okay, this is something that we really need to pay attention to. We need to pay attention to, she mentioned tone, right? Pay attention to how we're saying things, the greetings that we're using, the language that we're using. And that is helping us continue to iterate and refine our approach, one from a reactivation standpoint, but then also from an engagement standpoint as we're looking for that feature adoption. On the hate side, as I mentioned earlier on, brand tone and voice is a really scary thing as you're starting to kind of put a lot of messaging out into ether. And for us, like when we first jumped into using an AI tool, there were early days when I would be getting like a 4 and 5 a.m. text from our CEO with a screenshot of like, what is this? Like, this does not sound like us. Why is this all like capitalized? Why is this going out? And I'm waking up to this like, I'll get you an answer. Right. And so now we're like peeling it back and, trying to edit. And so like I mentioned earlier on, doing those like 2 rounds of QC has effectively mitigated a lot of those things. I don't get those messages anymore, so that's great. But yeah, I definitely hated the worry, at least of not only our CEO, but the organization too. Because while we're a lean team, there are a lot of people in our organization that have a vested interest in the company beyond their salary. And so they're like, why am I getting these messages? This doesn't sound like us. Like, oh, my friends and family seeing this. Like, what are you guys doing? I'm like, whoa, back up. Like, give us a chance here. So I definitely hated that, but I don't get that anymore either. So it's good.
Nice. Yeah, you're going to start with taking some blows, but then over time, it gets better.
You got to spar a little bit, but you'll get through it.
All right, I'll open it up to the audience. I see we already have a few questions. All right, so from Anonymous, what engine do you use for personalization at a one-to-one level and at scale? Is it a specific tool or is it based on segmentation with predefined variations?
I can answer it just because I've been talking about it all day. Yep. So the power of AMP, for those that are not familiar with this tool, it's an agentic AI. And the beauty of that is the agents are deploying at a level that can create a personalized messaging kind of cadence at the one-to-one level in a way that you or I wouldn't be able to do, at least in a reasonable amount of time. And then, so it's not really based off segmentation. Yes, we have like a specific cohort of users that we target and the messaging that we're offering them is at the segment level, but the messaging cadence and the messages that they're getting is solely based off of their engagement and how they're interacting, when they're interacting, whether or not they're clicking through, what is the tone, like all the things that I mentioned before greeting. So I would consider that one-to-one more than anything.
Cool.
I don't know if I have a better answer than that. So
all right,
I'm going to be checking that one out.
Cool. With the use of ChatGPT increasing and becoming more recognizable to users, how do you maintain brand authenticity and voice? What steps are you taking?
And I think we've both talked about this a little bit, but so we internally at Whoop, we call all of our GPTs interns. And I think that's really important to keep in mind is that our GPTs who can help us write that brand, like the brand copy that we're using, we can train them on our brand tone and voice and give them all of the tools that we have to make sure that they sound as authentic as possible. But at the end of the day, it's still an intern. You would not give an intern the keys to anything fully. So it's still really important for us to have that extra level of QA, that extra level of review to make sure that everything is as we would expect and you're not getting messages from your CEO at 4 a.m.
Yeah, no, I couldn't have said it better. I think one thing that I specifically do, and I know members of my team do it as well, we all have brand guidelines. Like that's the starting point, right? The value of the output that you're getting from any AI tool is only as good as the input that you're putting into it. So if you can literally give it your brand guidelines and then start to train it, great word, but train it on ways to refine the output, like it's only going to get better over time. That's the point. So I also like the use of intern to borrow that as well. But yeah, so those are some of the steps we're taking. Just continuing to double down on the fact that we do have brand guidelines and we do want to maintain that level of authenticity that we strive for.
Awesome. I think we're just in the last minute, so I'm gonna close out and thank Darian and Sam for the panel. Thank App Promotion Summit for having us, and it's been a pleasure. And enjoy the rest of your summit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that was AI and app engagement episode. featuring the discussion panel from the App Promotion Summit New York 2025. To listen to more episodes, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube podcasts. Just search for Business of Apps and you will find us easily. Remember, we release episodes on Mondays, so subscribe and you will be able to get new episodes on your smartphone, tablet, or computer as soon as we release them. And please don't forget to leave us a review or comment on iTunes. It is highly appreciated. And all episodes will also be available on businessofapps.com. Thank you for listening. See you next week.